everybody. We'll wait for everybody to have a chance to get on here before we start. The location's at the top of the screen, everybody. I promise it's there. Not lying, I promise. Stopping for gas here pretty soon anyway. Just give this a couple of moments here to sync up for everybody. Hope everybody's having a good afternoon and evening. We're somewhere in Indiana. The specific location is in the banner. Thanks for the super chat, Sarah. Alright, everybody, we are headed back to Florida. I had to run home and get supplies. But headed back to Florida right now. And we are traveling quick enough that we'll probably get pulled over by the cop if there is one. But we need to move and get down there quickly. I have to pick something up in Orlando. So we'll probably have to do that tomorrow, late afternoon, I guess. I've got to get down to the Orlando area, I've got about 15 hours yet. I'm gonna try to drive until like 1 or 2 a.m. and then finish it off tomorrow. But I'm gonna be staying in the Tampa area, and we'll just drive in and out of the Fort Myers area. One of the days that I'm down there, I'm going to do a stream, and we'll plan it. We'll announce like a date and time where I want to go back and visit some of the places that we live streamed from when we had the extreme conditions. For example, on top of the bridge in Punta Gorda, the mobile home park that got ripped apart. I want to go back to those places and just get a lay of the land and see what we were working with, because when there's 120 mile an hour winds and blinding rain, you really don't know what the lay of the land is. So we'll go back and kind of pay attention to where we were, but we'll probably do that sometime within the next couple of days. But I wanted to put the stream on and do some sort of a stream on the way down there. I know people used to really like the driving streams from point A to point B, so I'll leave the stream active for a while. I will have to stop for fuel and something to eat shortly, but thank you everybody who made the actual hurricane stream a success. We had quite a few views. That really helped out the channel a lot, so thank you everybody. But I'll go down there and see what we can do. I really don't have a plan. When we went into the floods in Kentucky, we had a plan. But this is such a huge, unprecedented event. It doesn't even make any sense to have a plan. It's really just show up and do something. Worst case scenario, we'll just start handing out money, because why not? I'll probably see if I can go to an ATM and get some $100 bills. I did say in the stream that I did when we were heading up to Charleston from Florida that any super chats and PayPal contributions that were received during that stream were going to be put toward doing whatever we do down there. We had a lot of generous PayPal donations, and we've got a couple $1,000s worth of PayPal donations specifically on that day. Specifically $1,700 from one specific person earmarked to help other people. So there's not really a whole lot we can do. They don't need supplies. We're going to let public safety handle search and rescue. I see a lot of chasers down there doing the search and rescue stuff, and that's really not a good idea. We need to be letting fire departments and the sheriff's departments do that. That's the appropriate thing to do. If we come across anybody that needs a specific supply, or I don't know, they need a chainsaw or water or a drill to fix their home, I don't know, we'll help them that way. Otherwise, honestly, if we come across people, we'll just start handing out cash. So, I mean, I don't know what else to do at this point. It's literally a total wreck down there. So, and people can criticize that all they want, but I mean, there's really not, unless you walk in there with $1 million, there's really not a whole lot you can do. So, I'll live stream what we can. Depending on where we go, the cell service is it's compromised, but it's there. I mean, we should be able to get a stream through, but if I can't monitor the chat or control the stream at all, it's pointless. So we'll see what we can do. I definitely want to document. It's going to take at least 2 days to document what happened. We'll do a live stream one of the days. On the next day, I'll just focus on getting some video of where we were, and some of the damage. But if we do have anybody specifically down there, anybody watching this specifically that needs some sort of assistance, contact us on my website. Don't do it in the chat, do it on my website, please. So seethestorm.com, there's a link in the chat. And of course, let me know what the deal is. We're not really trying to go help or financially support people that have good insurance and a bank account with $100,000 in it. No offense, but that's not what I'm trying to do here. We obviously want to lend a hand to the people that don't have a pot to piss in. That would be preferable. So if you have financial means to deal with what you're doing on your own, please, that goes for any disaster relief agency, let them help the people that need it most. If I had $30,000 in my bank account and my neighbor had $20 in his bank account, I would be sending the disaster relief funds to the neighbor, not me. So I think most people are that way, but sometimes there's greedy folks out there, and believe me, anybody that gets any assistance is going to be questioned about that. It's not that I don't trust people, it's just that I feel like the people that don't have any money should be given the most assistance. That's the problem I have with like the Red Cross and Salvation Army, is oftentimes they just start handing out stuff, and you've got people driving around Cadillac Escalades taking free meals, and it's like, no, that's BS. So I've been in a financial situation where I've had plenty of money in the bank, and I would not have accepted the help. So there's people out there that don't have any money and probably don't have car insurance or homeowners insurance because they're broke, and those are the people that need the money, not the people with the $200,000 a year salary job. Sorry, I hate to be the guy that says it, but somebody had to say it. Probably gonna upset some people, but somebody's got to say it. Greg would rather just physically help. No, I agree. Absolutely agree. That was the nice thing about when we were in Kentucky is, honestly, pretty much everybody there in that area was low income, but everybody was so accepting of the help, and nobody was asking for money. Everybody was just asking for help and for some food. It's not like everybody was asking to replace their things. They just wanted something to eat, and their stuff waterproofed, and their holes and their roof patched. So we'll see what we can do. The weather's quiet. If the weather wasn't quiet, we'd probably have to go after whatever severe weather there is. But for the most part, the weather is quiet. Yeah, Yeah, we're in Indiana right now, but we're not on the interstate. I don't know why the maps must have taken me this way because of an accident or something. We're actually going down a state highway right now. I think it's 41. Well, once we get into Tennessee, we'll be able to make up some time. It's just, it's getting through Indiana is kind of rough. But the reason we're starting small with, you know, we're just, when we went to Kentucky, we had a couple of our moderators and admins come down to help. I think Florida's a little out of range for them right now, but the reason we're starting small is because eventually I would like to be able to have enough income in the channel that we could have 5 or 6 people come down whenever we do this and be able to pay for their hotel and their food in return for helping out. We're just definitely not financially there yet. I can barely afford to put gas in the car, let alone pay somebody else, but I'm trying to get there. It's got to start small. We're doing proof of concept right now. My friend Chris Smith is down there on Pine Island. That's where his mom's house was. Well, he is. He says it's pretty terrible down there. He can't even get his truck off the island right now. I don't know if Marco Island is open back up or not, but that would be a good area to go. But basically, we're going to go and just travel up and down the coast and see what we can find. I'll live stream what we can. But we definitely need to go look at the damage just for documentation purposes. So we can put a video together and basically, you know, show the damage caused by the conditions. But I'll probably stay in Tampa. Hotels in Tampa are a little bit pricey, but it's it just makes sense to stay out of the disaster zone. That way, we don't have to worry about, you know, water or power outages or anything like that. But thank you to all of our viewers and our channel members. You're allowing me to go down and handle all this. Ian was a pretty rough hurricane. I would say that's probably the most challenging hurricane I've been in. I'm not the kind of chaser that wants to go sit in a parking garage. Like, I understand that's the safe thing to do, but I just don't get any, I feel like I don't collect any useful data or any you know, useful video by just sitting in a parking garage the whole time. That's why we were out in the elements trying to dodge debris. You know, I feel like we collected a lot of good data. But it was a very challenging hurricane because in Ida, I was that kind of chaser. I was lazy. I just sat in a parking garage the whole time. But not this time. It was rough. The only reason I went and parked next to the parking garage toward the end of the stream is because that was literally the cutoff. At that point, I decided it was either we could, you know, be parked out where we were and probably get hit in the head with a tree and die, or take shelter at that point. So that was basically the cutoff. The backside of that hurricane was much stronger than anticipated, much stronger than the front, which is typically not how it goes, but that was the cutoff. I'd had enough at that point. But the reason I was down there, basically parked in the middle of the road for like 3 hours straight, is because that area was away from the storm surge. It was close to the coast, so we would get the raw wind of the storm, but we were also immune to storm surge because it was a little bit higher in elevation. And it was pretty open, so any debris flying around we could pretty much dodge. So, but it was tough because it was really tough to not get hit by stuff. And I'm sure the 360 video is going to show that a lot better. I mean, it was something, guys. There was a couple of times, and I'll be honest, I'll be the first to admit this, there's a couple of times I thought we screwed up big time and I thought we were going to get hit by something, so. Thanks, Marie, for the super chat. Appreciate it. But we had 168,000 viewers. I think the only other storm chaser that had that amount of views or more was Reed. And rightfully so, because Reed was pretty much, I think he crapped his pants, let's put it that way. I probably would have too. There's a lot of people giving Reed a hard time for what he did, and I honestly, guys, I see nothing wrong with it. I'll stand up for the guy. Nobody expected that, honestly. And on paper, it looked like he was in a relatively safe location. And guys, what he did by leaving his car was actually the safe thing to do. Everybody was all, oh, he broke into somebody's house. No, he didn't. It was Chris Smith's mom's house. And I was actually invited to go over there. Chris was trying to get me to set up there, but I just couldn't get over there in time. And honestly, it's probably a good thing because we probably would have lost the car. We probably would have been in the same boat as Reed if we were there, because I probably would have made the same decision and left the car and let it float away. So it's a good thing we couldn't make it over there, but I just couldn't get there in time. The storm made landfall a little bit sooner, and by the time I got to Punta Gorda, I'm just like, I cannot get there in time because the heavy, like Category 1 force winds were starting to make their way onshore. I just didn't think we could get down there in time. And it's definitely a good thing because, like I said, we probably would have lost the car. But whatever. Yeah, that was, everybody was giving him a hard time for breaking into somebody's house. And it wasn't somebody's house, it was Chris Smith's mom's house. And Chris Smith was there with him. I was watching that just like, good God, people, like, really? Could have been an Airbnb for all people knew. But I don't know, guys. We did I'm pretty happy. We recorded some pretty low pressure, sub 950 millibar. Highest wind we recorded was about 130 miles per hour. We got to go through and look at the data, and I'll try to map it out with maybe some of the video. I got to talk to Don at Radar Omega and get some help with doing that. But I am seriously considering a bigger vehicle after that. A heavier vehicle with more room in it would probably be ideal. Seriously considering a Suburban. I made a tweet about it and everybody was coming after me for gas mileage, and it's like, guys, I get 19 miles a gallon anyway. I mean, we're not driving a Prius right now, so. But before the next violent hurricane like that, I am going to try to figure out a way to put some Lexan over the windows, specifically the back window. I'm not super worried about the side windows because you can always point into the wind, but sometimes you need to point away from the wind, and back windows break out really easy. So I'm thinking about trying to figure out a way we can put a big piece of Lexan over the back window and not have it look stupid. There's got to be a way just to give us some debris protection. Yeah, it would actually be a good idea to get a diesel-powered vehicle because of gas shortages. So typically when you're in a hurricane, a lot of the gas stations will stay open, but they'll run out of gas, but they won't, they'll run out of unleaded, but they won't run out of diesel. So honestly, a diesel vehicle would actually be practical. I wouldn't, I've actually considered like an F-150 or something too. You get a lot, if you get a pickup truck, you've got the cargo room, but you have less wind load. I don't know. We're going to be doing some thinking over the winter and seeing maybe what we need to come up with, because we are so up close to storms when we storm chase that it's possibly time that maybe we need to talk about a purpose-built vehicle. I'm not talking about building an armored vehicle, but I'm seriously considering a more purpose-built vehicle, like specifically buying something with weight, wind load, and fuel capacity in mind. Because if we have a pickup truck, we can actually put an extended fuel tank in it, and then you could also use that as weight to weigh down a vehicle. You could put a 50-gallon extra fuel tank in the bed, and that would be hundreds of pounds of fuel. What we're driving now is good for storm chasing, but when we're talking about driving up close to tornadoes and in the middle of Category 4 and 5 hurricanes, there comes a time when you really do need some sort of a purpose-built vehicle, just for safety's sake, because there's one thing we're not going to do is stop driving into stuff. I mean, that's inevitable. I mean, we're going to find ourselves inside of more tornadoes and Cat 5 hurricanes. I mean, it's just going to happen. So it makes sense to build the vehicle around the purpose. Fuel mileage is always a concern, but we're getting 19 with a non-purpose-built vehicle. So if we can get 17 to 18 with a purpose-built vehicle, I'd be happy. Do we chase snowstorms? Absolutely. You got a 2019 F-250 and get 18 miles a gallon. I believe it. A lot of people with these newer trucks, especially even the Power Stroke, the diesel platform Ford pickup trucks, the newer ones, do actually get really good gas mileage. I'm actually fairly impressed. Problem is you got to worry about the DPF and all that, but whatever, it is what it is. Yeah, a 30-gallon tank would be nice, and then you put a 50 in there, and then you're set. I wouldn't worry, you know, honestly, what I would just do is just have somebody make a external tank. Just basically weld up a steel box and weld, you know, a lot of farmers do that. They'll make their own extra fuel tanks. Get something and then just put a fuel hose on it, put it in the filler when we need to. Even just the ability to carry like 20 of those 5-gallon fuel tanks would be amazing. So we'll see what we can do. I thought about trying to get like you could get a 3/4 ton, like a Chevy. I would be okay with a GM product with a Duramax in it. I am not a Cummins fan at all. Crucify me in the comments if you want, car and truck people. But I was a certified Power Stroke mechanic. That means I'm a Ford person. When I was in school for diesel tech, I learned a lot on Duramax motors. I don't care, and I'm not going to get into the debate of, oh, this truck's better than that truck, because here's the deal. They're all pieces of junk, and they all break. I'm sorry, that's all there is to it. They're all crap, they're all garbage, and they're all made to be thrown away at 100,000 miles anymore. It's just all there is to it. They're all crap. They're all equally crap, just certain ones break at different times. But I know more about Power Stroke and Duramax motors, so our market would be like a Ford F-250, you know, shorter bed, or like a 3/4 ton GM truck, like a 2500 or whatever. But we'll see, because it needs to be something that I know a lot about, so that we can save money by me fixing it and doing the work on it versus taking it to a dealer all the time. Because believe it or not, I do know a lot about the DPF. We would probably delete the DPF system, but here's the deal. I can rip apart a 6.7 Power Stroke any day of my life without a manual and put it back together, because when I was in diesel tech class in community college, that's all we did. We learned on like Power Strokes. I tore like 20 of them apart, put them back together. Like, that's all we did was take them apart and put them back together. I mean, it just makes sense for me to... do I want to take this exit? No, I don't. God dang it. It just makes sense for me to get something that I'm familiar with. That's exactly why I drive...
Use any lane to turn slightly right onto US Highway 41.
That's why I drive this piece of crap that I continue to dump thousands of dollars of money into, because it's a Ford and I know how to maintain it.
Continue on US Highway 41 south for 58 miles.
And it is a piece of crap. Honestly, guys, I'm convinced that all cars are garbage at this point. Like, they're all junk. Unless it's 20 years old, they're junk. I mean, you know what? Honestly, what we could probably do is get like a 1999... Actually, you know, this is what we should do. Now, back up. Hold up here. We should drive a 1999 Ford F-250 or an Excursion with a 7.3 liter in it, because those things are like indestructible. They're bulletproof. They'll go to 400,000 miles before you have to do any rebuilds on them. Go get it like a really old one, and then we'll put a new transmission in it, a new motor in it, or a reman motor, and you know, we'll paint it, we'll make it look nice. and it's so old that it's cheap to replace, and really there's nothing to break on it. Honestly, you know, that would probably be the thing to do. Ford Excursions, those are worth their weight in gold right now if you buy a nice one, or just an old F-250 pickup truck that at a 7.3, it's from down south, that has no body damage, just needs paint. That would honestly be the smart thing to do, because the cost to repair and maintain that would be like next to nothing, because there really isn't anything to go wrong. Plus, I mean, they're built better. So, I don't know, you never know what we end up with. That's the problem with this newer stuff, is it's just so throwaway. I mean, you can keep this stuff running, but you're just constantly replacing parts. I mean, everything's got lifetime fluid in it, which is bogus, or this or that, you know, it's just, you know, the engineers basically have the attitude of, as long as they can keep it running fine until it's out of warranty, then full send. You know, it used to be that engineers would design these vehicles to last 200,000 miles before they needed any sort of major work. And that's just not the case anymore. You know, they're cutting corners. So, if you had an F-250 with 178,000, exactly, I would totally buy something like that. Yeah, you get something, then you go to take it to a body shop, have them paint it real nice. Let's stop at the Circle K. Fun fact, I lost my hubcap at this Circle K live on stream a couple of months ago. Get some fuel. Oh my God, is this... Why is everything always out of order? Alright, we'll go to the next one. Half these pumps have bags on them. I ain't dealing with it. I just don't feel like dealing with it. We also need to find something to eat. Yeah, diesel's expensive, but it comes a point where it's like, when you just need something purpose-built, and sometimes you just gotta deal with the price. Yeah, I do have terrible luck with gas pumps. I honestly don't know what the deal is with us and gas pumps. It's honestly ridiculous. Alright, I need a gas station. Okay, we're going to... I hate to do it, guys. We're going to McDonald's. $3.89? What a freaking ripoff. What a ripoff. I've still got my spare fuel in the car, just in case we run into fuel problems while we're driving around down there. I don't know what the fuel situation is south of Tampa, but we're only going to put enough gas in to get us out of this state, because typically it's cheaper in Kentucky and Tennessee. Indiana's always high, just like Illinois. No, wow, I didn't see a Burger King. Was there one? Yeah, gas is probably going to be higher for a while because of the hurricane. Gotta love it. Alright, let me go out and get the fuel here real quick. gas station has a terrible squeegee. Absolutely the worst squeegee I've ever used in my life. Alright, let me order McDonald's on this app. I feel like we're gonna get shot at this gas station. Alright, let me order something. I hate McDonald's, but we just don't have a choice right now. Sometimes chicken nuggets are safe. I don't want to talk about what's in the chicken nuggets because it's probably not chicken, but we're gonna close our eyes and hope for the best. I have a terrible sinus infection right now too, so this is pretty miserable. Like, I feel awful. I'm really prone to sinus infections. Like I've constantly got sinus infections. This is probably the 10th one this year, if not more. And I don't go to the doctor because I don't like the doctor, and they don't like me. So when I was little, they were supposed to do something. They were supposed to like cut something out of my nose or something. I don't know. There's some sinus surgery that they can do in a day or whatever, but it never got done, and I don't know why. I suspect it's probably because I don't like doctors, and I never did then either. So I probably threw a fit about it and wouldn't let anybody take me, but yeah. McDonald's tastes like cleaning chemicals. That's probably an accurate way to describe that. I guess I never thought about describing it as cleaning chemicals, but now that you say that, yeah, you're kind of right. You are not wrong. Cleaning chemicals. Adenoids, guys? I don't know. All I know is I get sinus infections all the time, and I'm sick of it. So, and even if I wanted to go get something done about it, I wouldn't have time because I'm never in one spot for more than 20 minutes. So, oh, Sean's in here. Guys, everybody, the other night, Sean, friend of mine, a couple weeks ago, he destroyed his car. He plowed into a deer at like 70 miles an hour after a storm chase. So the least we can do is go like his page. You should go subscribe to his YouTube channel or like his Twitter or something, because he does sell photos and prints. And he's a better photographer than I am, so you should go buy his stuff if you feel like supporting somebody that's trying to rebuild their transportation method after hitting a deer at Mach 5. And I can confirm he hit the deer very, very effectively. Funny story, there was actually an old lady. The deer was in the middle of the road, and I'm not going to get gruesome or anything, I promise, but deer's in the middle of the road, and I've got all my lights on. It's pretty obvious that there's a deer in the middle of the road. I'm shining a flashlight on. I am standing in the middle of the freaking road with my flashlight in this lady's face as she's driving her pickup truck. She slows down right before the deer, almost comes to a stop, and then floors it and goes up and over the deer and then peels out of there. And I just looked over at Sean. I'm like, what the hell? Like, I don't know if she was drunk or what, but I'm like, what are you doing, lady? I wish I would have had that recorded. I had a mobile order. It's NB27. Yep. Okay. Yeah, that was quite the night. Sean, actually, I did a YouTube short. If you guys go on my channel under the YouTube shorts, you'll find out where I talked about it. But he sent me a text. You know, this was in Northeast Iowa. And I was only like 10 minutes ahead of him, and he's like, hey, call me right away or whatever. And I'm like, oh, that's never good. I kind of thought he was kidding. But, yeah, that's never fun. When I hit that deer that night, I thought I ruined my car. I got lucky. It just cracked the plastic bumper and just had to replace the bumper. But, yeah, that sucks. But yeah, even with car insurance, it's always sucks when you hit a deer or something, because just the logistics of it, you know, especially if it happens on a weekend or something, or you're in an area where there's not much for towing or repair shops, and your car insurance wants to screw around. Maybe they should take the motor out of Sean's Subaru and put it in Reed's. Yeah, it's crazy some of the damage that small animals will do. Like, I had a friend in school that damn near totaled his car from a raccoon. Like, hit it just right and it ended up going into the radiator and all this stuff. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. Hey, you too. You think Reed's car needs more than a motor? Well, yeah, but you gotta start somewhere. Start with the motor, then you move on to the wiring, and you move on to the rest of the car. But somebody on the internet had a pretty good idea. They told Reed that, you know, because Reed really, he honestly loves that car, and I can see why. He's become attached to it. Somebody's like, why don't you take the hood off and take the doors off and put it on a different Subaru? And I'm like, that's actually a good idea. You know, you could at least take the hood off. I mean, there you go. It's kind of like having the same car. And yeah, thanks to our new member there. Somebody just joined as a membership. Larry, thank you. But it's hard to find used cars and stuff too. Right now the used car market is still messed up. I've noticed in some areas the used cars are really cheap, and in some areas they're way expensive. Like up by me they're pretty expensive, but in some areas they're cheaper. I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of flood cars on the market now from the hurricane. Bob, that thing is so hail tinted. Do you think anybody cares about the saltwater damage? I mean, everybody keeps saying the saltwater damage, saltwater damage. I'm like, guys, have you seen the car? Like, trust me, it doesn't matter at this point. But hopefully he can find a car that's the same and then just put some of the pieces on it. That'd be kind of neat. Thanks.
Have a great day.
Hey, you too. Forgot my straw. Alright, fear not everybody, I have a spare straw, because I keep a couple straws in my center console because they forgot the straw again. Oh my god. I'm just going to start asking for a straw.
Left onto Walnut Street, then turn left.
Like,
on
I have
US
terrible luck with
150
straws.
East.
It's gas stations and then getting the straws. Alright, hold on here. I gotta navigate us out of this mess. Oh wow, everything tastes like fryer oil. That's lovely. Hell yeah.
Turn left onto US 150 East, South 3rd Street. Continue on US 150 East for 56 miles.
We should just get a bunch of old Crown Vics, like 5 of them. And we'll get them all wrapped, and then we'll just have a fleet of storm chasing cars. They'll all be identical, and then when one gets beat up, we'll just move on to the next one. I actually do like Crown Vics, though. They're extremely comfortable. They'd actually make a good storm chasing car. Yeah, Sean wants to get an Expedition, and honestly, an Expedition would be a good car, especially if you get the extended length one, with the extra row back there. I don't even know where I am right now. Alright, I got 2 ibuprofen left. If that's gonna do anything. Usually I have to take like 4 of them. I didn't even touch anything. Probably because when I was like 18, 19, 20, 21, I pretty much ate ibuprofen like it was cereal, which is typically not a good idea. Like I used way too much of it, and I think my body's become partially immune to it. For a while there, I would have to take like 4 of them, like every 5 minutes. It seemed like for like a whole year, I think I was like taking ibuprofen like twice a day, every day. Especially when I worked at that one ambulance company, because I would get really, really tired, and my back would start to hurt, and like it was the only thing I could do. But after like 5 months of doing that, it just stopped working. I think I became like mostly immune to it. Instead of chicken nuggets, I decided to go a little bit safer. I went with plain cheeseburger, like nothing on it, just a piece of quote-unquote beef and a bun. I figure that's probably a little bit safer, maybe. My God, it's like eating a piece of plywood. Usually when the food is so dry and hard that it feels like you're biting down on a piece of plywood, it's usually, you know, it's safe to eat. Culver's is alright. I actually haven't seen any on this whole trip. Definitely the worst food I've had in a long time. Holy cow. I'm seriously debating if I just want to like dump it all outside for like a raccoon or something. I'd feel kind of bad though, like giving this garbage to a raccoon. They deserve better. Wow, this is terrible. I mean, usually McDonald's isn't that great, but holy cow. This is why I don't do the fast food thing very often. Should have tried to find a Sonic or something. I've had really good luck with them lately. So at Sonic, I've been getting the damn, it's like a breakfast sandwich. It's like toast with sausage and egg on it or whatever. And, you get that with tater tots and a drink, and it's $7. And then you get a corn dog with it, and it's still under 10. And that's cheaper than most places, so. Okay. Alright. Alright, so I ordered 2 cheeseburgers, and you guys are going to think I'm dumb for doing this, but they were only $1.29. And we're going to discard the first one and go with the second one. The second one, the bun, is actually not a piece of brick, so I think we got better luck with this one. I did that on purpose. And when I go to McDonald's, that's my thing. If I get a cheeseburger, I always order 2 of them, because you know sometimes you get one and the bun is like hard as a rock. Well, then you've got a 50% chance still at getting one that's not hard as a rock. So we're gonna switch to the backup cheeseburger. Can't make this up. My God, everybody is in such a hurry. Just past the semi, I haven't even had enough room to get over yet. This guy's flying by us. Good God. road that goes out to Pine Island, where Reed was, and the one going to Sanibel Island, they're all compromised. I don't know what the plans are. I would assume, because of the amount of people, property, and vehicles on those islands, I would assume that they're probably going to do something temporary. I'll try to see if I can find an answer for that down there, but I would assume that they would have to do something temporary. They're going to have to. There's a lot of infrastructure on those islands in terms of residential homes and vehicles and stuff. And I'm sure they'll do something. I don't know what they'll do though. They probably have no idea what they're going to do either. But somebody will figure something out, I'm sure. Yeah, like the Sanibel Causeway, it's just like the middle section of it is just gone, which I believe is actually the area where we placed that search camera. So the search camera likely went away with the causeway. But I would assume, I mean, the only thing I could think that they would possibly do is just get a crap ton of fill dirt and start dumping fill dirt, and then dump some gravel on it. I would assume. I have no idea what they're going to do though, because there's nothing left there, so they're literally going to have to get fill and just dump fill dirt there, and that to take a lot of fill dirt, because there's a big chunk of it that's just gone. Like it's not like broken up or partially gone, like it's just totally gone. I'm sure they will do something. I don't know what they're going to do though. It'll be interesting to see what happens, because they're going to have to get those vehicles off of there, because there's people that live out there, and it's not something like Pine Island. It's not like all the homes were swept away. There's still a lot of intact structures there. I wonder if there's a way that they could ferry or get a ferry and take some of the vehicles off the island. That's probably what they'll have to do. Oh, Greenell just said the same thing I did. They're talking about bringing a large ferry. Yeah, that's probably what they're going to have to do. That's what's really challenging about this hurricane, is the amount of infrastructure damage on these little islands. Just literally can't get to them now. I mean, Fort Myers Beach is a mess. We were close to Fort Myers Beach when we were down there near or south of the Burnt Storm Arena, where that mobile home park was coming apart. That was only like 10 miles north of Fort Myers Beach. It's just a mess. A lot of the damage does look like Hurricane Michael. So I was not in Hurricane Michael, but a couple of weeks after Michael happened, I went and looked at the damage in Mexico Beach. And honestly, it's extremely similar. Like, just just the amount and the way everything is blown apart, it looks very much like Mexico Beach. We'll be down there tomorrow and start kind of assessing. The reason I went home when I did for a couple of days to restock and everything is because when I chased that hurricane back up to South Carolina, I didn't want to come back down to Florida and then go back. Make a big loop. Jesus, buddy. Barely stopped. Man, gas is expensive in the state. Like I said, one of the things I want to do is live stream some of the areas that we went and kind of compare the damage to the conditions. How much you want to bet that cops turn around to pull us over for a headlight, you know? Find out. Yeah, I need to locate a headlight bulb. I'm not worried about it because I've got, at least in Wisconsin, the vehicle is still legal because it's got, it still has more than two bulbs lit. The fog lights count. So in Wisconsin, if you have a headlight out and you turn your fog lights on, you've got 3 bulbs lit. It's still legal. But he flipped around awful fast there, like he feels like raiding a ticket. We'll see. My Walmart in town was out of my my headlight bulb. I think it's a 9006. Couldn't find any during that hurricane either. Everybody was out of them. There was one at the Loves, but it was a $30 bulb for one. I'm like, you kidding me? I can get a pack of 2 of them at Walmart for 25 bucks. potential that we could get the tropical cyclone to begin forming down in the Caribbean again later this week, but it's not looking super likely. I want $100 from the groundhogs or whatever. Heck yeah. Thank you for the super chat. And thanks for helping out, doing all the moderation and everything too. We appreciate that. Kind of saved us. You and Bob were our backups the other day. Thank you. I really appreciate it. We'll consider that in the name of the groundhogs or the whatevers. I don't know what started that whole thing. It was something about low. I don't remember where that. I remember roughly when it started, but I don't remember. I should say I remember what and who started it. I don't remember when we started that whole thing. That might have been a long time ago. There's been mention of the prairie dogs for many months on the channel. Yeah, hopefully the worst of hurricane season is over. I agree. We're going to be exiting peak season soon, but we could still be in for some surprises. Oh, when everybody got stuck on a back road. Yeah, I remember that one. That actually wasn't that long ago. I think that was June. Everybody, thanks for joining us. Though, if you are just joining the video, we are traveling down to Florida to document the damage from Hurricane Ian and help anybody out that we run across. A couple of people did contact me through Twitter and such over the past day or two, that either they or their relatives wanted some physical assistance or just some minor help with things. So I've got a small list of people we may have to visit, but we'll run down that list and see if anybody still needs any of that help. Yeah, this was a very very intense hurricane, that's for sure. We can attest to that. Like I said, when we were out there, we were just getting plowed by debris. And especially when we were, the back half of that, when we were up on that bridge, I was really impressed by the wind speed on that. But I am just totally sick of driving. It has just been nothing but driving the past couple of weeks. You probably all remembered, but basically the last time that I was home was the middle-ish to end of September. But we had that slight risk out in Ohio like 2 weeks or so ago, and we went out for that, and that's when we started getting serious, thinking that Ian was going to form. So we immediately went down to Atlanta and began staging and preparing for that. But like, I can't remember the last day that I had. Well, actually, I take that back. I can. It was when I was in Atlanta. Never mind. I was gonna say I can't remember the last day I had where I didn't drive at least 100 miles, but I did have one day in Atlanta where I didn't go anywhere. I just stayed at the hotel. But if I would have known we were going to end up with a hurricane like that, we wouldn't have chased that bogus slight risk, because we didn't end up seeing anything that day. And I really don't like the route this is taking me, because I feel like I'm in the middle of nowhere, and I feel like it's taking me longer than it should to get anywhere. We're 14 hours away from the destination. Ouch. That sucks. If we could get into Tennessee tonight, I'd be happy. It's 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Central. I run on Central Time no matter where I am, just because of family at home and the computers and all my clocks, so I'm always running on Central Time. So I figure if we drive until midnight Central Time, that's 5 more hours. If we can get into Tennessee, I would be happy. That would allow us to roll into Florida tomorrow evening, and I would be perfectly happy with that. So we'll try to get into Tennessee tonight before we stop for the night. You know, what I probably should have done was leave the car somewhere in, like, I was in South Carolina. I should have drove it back to Atlanta, left it at the airport, and flown home. And I didn't even have that idea until I was halfway home. But I could have drove it, you know, like 2 hours west to Atlanta, and then flown home, and then went back, and then only had a 6-hour drive instead of a 14. I should have thought about that. Totally would have done it. Atlanta to Madison or Atlanta to Milwaukee probably isn't that terribly expensive. The thing that bothers me the most about all the driving is just the lost time. Like, honestly, like right now I could be doing something productive or getting some videos put together, but instead of driving. It's not necessarily, I mean, the drive is a little bit boring, yeah, but the frustration level is probably what's most annoying about the drive, because you just sit here and think about all the stuff you could be doing instead. This is a pretty area of Indiana, though, so far. I mean, in my opinion, Indiana's a little bit boring. It's just one giant cornfield. And everybody talks about Illinois being flat, but holy cow, Indiana's 10 times flatter. Pretty state, though, especially in the fall. But it's dark out already, and it's only 7 o'clock, which is sad. Degrees, a little bit cool out, but it is October after all, surprisingly. By the way, I think this is the first live stream of October, I think. I am just trying to get out of Indiana. Indiana and Illinois just feel like they take way too long to drive through. Once you get out of those two states, it seems like the drive goes a lot quicker. At least for me. I don't like airports. I hate flying. Worst experience of my life flying. That blizzard back in Boston. If anybody was subscribed to the channel and watching the live stream, you'll know I covered a blizzard in eastern Massachusetts back in, I believe it was January. And oh my god, what a mess. Like, I woke up at like 2 a.m. 3 a.m. because I had a flight at 6 out of Madison. I was supposed to go from Madison to, I think it was Charlotte? No, it was Raleigh, right? I don't know. My flight was supposed to go from Madison, Wisconsin to Raleigh, North Carolina. And then it was going to go to Boston. Well, apparently somebody got pissed off because they missed their flight and decided to cause a scene, and security like closed off half the airport because this guy was like going nuts. And I'm just like, tackle the guy, put handcuffs on him, and drag him out of there. Like, quit screwing up everybody's day. Like, quit babying them. Whatever. So that delayed the flight. So then they were trying to send me to Dallas, and I'm like, this is stupid. Why am I going to go to Dallas to go to Boston? Like, I'm not going to Texas to go to Boston. Like, this is, I paid, whatever. So get on the plane, and they're like, oh, it's just going to be a direct flight. I'm like, oh, great. Well, they changed that. So I think we ended up going to Atlanta, and then we went to Boston after that. I don't know. But it was a big mess. Get to Boston, I go to pick up my rental car, and the people at the rental desk were just awful. Like, the guy was so rude. He hated his job, and he was upset with me because I needed a four-wheel drive vehicle, and I told them that. Like, I specifically told them when I called them to reserve it, I said, I need four-wheel drive. Like, I need an SUV or a pickup truck. And they're like, yep, no problem. And I show up, and he tries to give me a car, like literally like a Camry or, you know, like a Corolla or something. And I'm like, no, like I'm paying a lot of money for, I needed the SUV or the truck. And he's asked, then he's like, well, why do you need that? And I'm like, well, it doesn't matter. Like, I just need it. Like, I paid for it. It was so frustrating. So whatever. Anyway, basically, got the rental, whatever, chased the snowstorm. Was supposed to fly out of Boston the next day, or the day after, whatever. Flight got canceled. So I had to spend another $250 for the rental car, another $180 for the hotel, and then the next day after that, the flight got canceled again. And I'm starting to get really, really ticked off at American Airlines because everybody else's flights were flying. It wasn't an airport thing, it was an American Airlines thing. So I'm starting to get really upset. Yeah, because now I've spent an extra $500 on this rental car to have it sit in the parking lot, and I've spent like an extra $350 on hotels that I shouldn't have had to spend. And this trip's starting to get really, really expensive really, really fast. So I called Budget Rental Car, and I'm like, here's the deal, guys. I'm taking this car and I'm driving it west. I'm driving it back to Madison, Wisconsin, and I'm going to drop it off at the airport there. Deal with it. And they're like, okay, that's fine. And they're like, it's going to be like $1,500. And I'm like, $1,500 for what? Oh, the location fee, because you're dropping it off at a different location. I'm like, you're going to charge me $1,500 for that? Screw that. So anyway, I stuck around, and they were able to get me on a different flight finally, but I just had it. I was so done. I'm like, I'm going to drive the 17 hours home in this rental car. Like, I'm done. I've had it. It was the worst experience of my life. I will never fly anywhere again unless it's like over to another country. I'm serious. I'm not flying anywhere. That was the worst time of my life. I felt trapped. I was held hostage by American Airlines. You know, they cost me all this money. They kept canceling, like I said. And the problem is, guys, they didn't just cancel the flight the night before. They canceled the flight. Like, both the two times they canceled the flight, they canceled it like an hour before it was supposed to take off, and they didn't reschedule it. They literally just canceled it. And their answer at the customer service desk was, wait until tomorrow and see what's available. I'm like, that's ridiculous. The problem is I already paid for the flight, and I should have just sucked it up and got a flight with a different airline. But I'm like, this is ridiculous. I just had it at this point. And all the other airlines were working, so it was an American Airlines problem. And I'll never fly again, at least in the country. I'm driving everywhere. I don't have time for those kind of screw-ups. I lost a lot of money on that trip because of them, and I'm pretty upset about it. I felt like at least they could have covered the rental car for me, or given me a flight voucher or something, because like I said, it would have been one thing if they would have canceled the flight like more than an hour before. Each one was canceled exactly an hour before takeoff. So after I'd gone through security and all this stuff, I'm just like, you gotta be kidding me. It was just awful. But I was really upset too because I took took 2 bags with me. I took a bag to put in the carry-on and a bag to keep in my seat, because that's what they told me I could do. So I only took 2 pairs of clothes because I planned on being gone for 3 days. So I had the clothes I was wearing, the clothes for the next day, and the clothes for the day after that. That was all I needed. So I took a little backpack and my camera bag. Well, they told me that they had too many people on the flight going out of Madison, so I needed to check the bag. And I'm like, I told the lady, I said, respectfully, I'm not putting either of these bags, like, in the checked baggage, because I'm not going to lose my clothes, and I said, 2, this bag needs to stay with me. Like, it's literally my entire business is in that bag. That was at the point where literally all of my expensive camera gear and my computers and stuff fit in one backpack, and literally my entire business was run out of this backpack. I didn't have an office. We lived in a small place. We had no room. Like, I literally lived out of this backpack. Like, everything that was important to me was in this backpack, and it was not going to leave my sight. And the lady's like, well, you can't get on the flight then. And I'm like, that's ridiculous. I'm like, you freaking told me like 5 times on the phone and down at security that I don't need to check this bag no matter what. And now you're telling me that you have too many people on the plane and I have to check the bag. And she's like, oh, we won't lose it. And the moment she said that, some old lady behind me stepped up, like right next to me, and she started cussing out this lady in the line that worked for the airline, that worked for American Airlines, started cussing her out for hassling me. And then she's like, listen here, ma'am, there's people out there throwing bags around. You think anybody wants their bag thrown around? And she's just literally cussing this lady out. Like, this 25-year-old girl is getting cussed out by this little old lady that's about 4 foot 5 inches tall. I'm not even kidding. And this lady is not having it. She rips her mask off and she is just screaming at this lady. And I'm just like, holy cow. Well, long story short, the supervisor came over to de-escalate the situation, and I said something to the supervisor before he walked away. I'm like, look, I was like, can I get on a different flight? Like, I'm not letting this bag leave my sight. And he's like, well, what's the problem? I'm like, well, they want it checked. And he's like, you don't have to. It fits in the carry-on. I'm like, that's what I've been saying. And he looks at the lady, and he's like, that bag fits in the carry-on. He goes, were you hired yesterday? And I'm just like, holy crap. Like, at least the manager wasn't, but I'm just like, lady, like, apparently she misunderstood the directions. They were supposed to encourage people to check their bag, but they weren't supposed to force people to check their bag, which made more sense, because I've never taken a flight where they've forced you to check your carry-on. I've had them in the past be like, look, the flight's crowded, please check your carry-on, and they'll usually check it for you, but I've never been forced to do that. Like, that lady was really getting on my nerves, because I told her, I'm like, look, like, I'm not trying to be argumentative, but can you put me on a different flight, because I'm not going to have this bag thrown around. It's just like, well, sir, we don't throw the bags around. I'm like, no, you do throw the bags around. And then here comes little old grandma telling her, no, you do throw them around, because she was watching out the window, and they were literally throwing the bags from the little bag cart, like, onto the conveyor belt to go into the plane. Like, they were literally just, like, throwing them. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not putting my computer, my 4 cameras, and my hard drives and all that stuff. That ain't happening. Like, it amazed me how rough they were with luggage. That's the only time I ever paid attention to how they handle the luggage. And I couldn't believe it. I'm just like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, that's so disrespectful. So, trust me, if you've never flown before, don't put anything that could break in your checked baggage. Don't. Clothes only. Anything else, don't do it. Or don't fly. Better yet, just don't even get on an airplane. Like, I hate airplanes. I hate them. They stink. The people that you sit next to 9 times out of 10 are gross, and they're off. Like, I hate airplanes. I hate them. I wouldn't even put a Pelican case on the checked bags. The way they were throwing them around, I think it'd break right open. I was surprised. Your friends are traveling to Australia? Well, hopefully they're not using American Airlines. Probably Qantas, but yeah, they're pretty rough with that baggage. And it had been about 2 years since I'd flown, and I'd never noticed them throwing the baggage around like that. But that's why I didn't want them checking my backpack, because there's like literally no padding. I'm like, it's a computer bag. I'm like, Duh. But yeah, I don't know, it was just really terrible. I never want to fly it again. I really think that driving's the way to go. I mean, if I have to, you know, like I did like the other day, I was considering flying home. You know, there's some situations where I would, but if I have to be somewhere at a certain time, I don't think I'll do it. But I certainly won't do American Airlines ever again, that was for sure. But the airport in Madison, Wisconsin, I do like flying out of there because it's super easy. There's 10 gates, and they're all in a row. It's just 1 through 10, that's it. And it's all in one building. Like, it's super easy to navigate. Everything is behind security, so you don't have to exit security to get something to eat. Like, once you're through security, you don't have to go out and go back in. There's literally no reason to go out of the TSA area because everything's behind the security line. So it's a really nice airport. That's why I didn't mind. I was more willing to fly out of there, but man, I tell you. Yeah, they gave me a Ford Expedition, like a brand new one too. When I got there for a rental car. Yeah, we were all over in that snowstorm. The tires on it were junk. They were almost bald, so I was having a real hard time getting around, but so it takes longer to go by car, but you have the freedom of stopping when you want and diverting or turning around. The problem was, though, the flights that they put me, the connecting flights that they put me on, because nothing was direct. They put me on all these flights, and you know they put you on these little teeny tiny airplanes, like little regional airplanes, and they're tiny, like you can't move in them. Like, I hate it. But the flight that they wanted to put me on to go home was supposed to have 3 stops, and I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, find me a better flight. Like, it was gonna be Boston to Pittsburgh, and then I think it was Pittsburgh to Dallas, and then Dallas to Madison. I'm like, that's crazy. Like, I could have drove in that amount of time. But I just could not for the life of me find anything direct between Milwaukee or Madison and Boston. I could not even find a direct flight out of Chicago going to Boston. At least not at the time. I think I had to book the tickets like the night before, but I was trying so hard to find a direct flight, but I just couldn't. I was able to get out without having to pay for parking too, which was nice, because when I parked the car, when I left, because they charge you for parking at the Madison airport when you leave, not when you come in. When I left, people were doing some maintenance on the parking, like the gate to get out of the parking garage, and they were doing maintenance, and they just said to just go on through because the machine was down. I'm like, all right, just didn't have to pay for parking. That actually was kind of made up for some of it, not having to pay for the parking, because it was going to be like $100. think I've ever gone by train. Going through a bit of a dead zone here, it looks like. We still got quite a ways to go in Indiana. I just feel like we haven't made up any ground here. Yeah, I was able to finally get the location to work on this part of the stream. Also, instead of just the storm chasing stream, it works on this now, which is nice. Up in the corner there, I'm sure you've noticed. Forward just to getting down there. Drive's half the battle here. We haven't had a bunch of traffic or anything so far. That's kind of the nice thing about not being on the interstate. Yeah, if we could get down to Tennessee, we'd be doing all right. Alright, finally getting on a different road here, I guess.
Continue on US 41 south for 1 mile.
Oh, this road's rough, holy cow.
In half a mile, keep right to continue on US 41 south, US Highway 41 south. Follow signs for Evansville. Keep right to continue on US 41 south. Continue on US 41 south for 49 miles.
Yeah, just looking forward to getting out of Indiana. My God, this drive feels like it takes forever. It's terrible. Been streaming for about 2 hours now. It seemed like it. Almost 2 hours. Otherwise, in the world of weather right now, it's pretty quiet. Yeah, Love's is okay. I don't think any of the truck stops are really that great, though. Definitely not TA, though. Those are dumps. Those TA travel stops are literally just giant toilets in the parking lot. They're nasty. There's some terrible Love's travel truck stops, though, too. That one in Tucumcari in New Mexico, northeast New Mexico, is awful. The inside of the store is literally wood panel, like that fake wood paneling, and it doesn't feel very safe. It's a dump. It's a literal toilet. But I feel like the Loves are cleaner than the Pilots usually. Yeah, that Loves in Tucumcari is terrible. If anybody's ever been to it, it's extreme northeast New Mexico. I'm usually there once a year, like clockwork in the middle of June. So we usually get at least one storm chase in late May, early June in northeast New Mexico. Happens every year. The past 4 years, it's been like that first week of June. And I've always stopped at that Loves on the way out because it's the last one for quite a while. Because if I'm going back home or toward Oklahoma City, I don't. You typically, I mean, you can stop in Amarillo, but if you don't stop in Amarillo, you're going to be on state highways after Amarillo for quite a while. So it's basically it's either Tucumcari Loves or something in Amarillo, and Amarillo is usually kind of a traffic nightmare. So naturally, you just stop the one at Tucumcari. Or I don't know if it's in Tucumcari, but it's northeast of there. It's around that area, but you it's like your only option between there and honestly, like Elk City, Oklahoma. So it kind of sucks. It's a dump though. It's kind of terrifying. So, funny story, it wasn't at that Loves, but it was around that Loves in northeast New Mexico. It wasn't this year, it was the year before this year, so it was a year and a half ago. I honestly thought somebody was chasing me down. So, we were on a storm chase in Roswell, like clockwork, end of May, early June, happens every year. This was back in 2021. Coming out of Roswell, I was going north, and then was going up toward Tucumcari, and then was going to go out or through Amarillo to get back to Oklahoma City for the next day. And I go past that Loves, and I noticed the same car has been like on my back bumper for the past like half an hour. So I took a right turn and I went down. It was like a county highway. It was a paved 2-lane road. It had lane markers, like it was a substantial county highway. And the car turns behind me, so I took another right turn about a block down, and this car is still like literally right on my bumper. And I noticed like my low fuel light just came on, and I'm starting to freak out a little bit. So I took another right turn and went back to the main road that goes through Tucumcari, and this car is literally right on my bumper. And I'm like, something's really weird here. So I said the hell with him, and I brake checked him. I put the brake pedal to the floor. And this about sent this guy into my back seat, and thought that, well, if he doesn't pass after that, then he's definitely got malicious intent, and he still didn't pass. And I'm like, all right, we got a problem. So I go to pull into a gas station, and it was a Mobil, like a little Exxon Mobil station, and it was closed, but the pumps were on. And I pull in, and I pull up to a pump. And I put the gear shift in reverse for a second, and then instead of putting it in park, I slammed it back into drive. That way, because they were right behind me, I wanted them to see the reverse lights come on for a second, so that they would think I just put the car in park. And in that car, I had a switch that would actually shut the brake lights off. And the reason for that was not, everybody thought, a couple of friends thought that I put that in there so that if I blew by a cop, I could hit the brakes and have them not realize I was sitting. That's not why I have that switch to shut the brake lights off in all my cars, so that if I'm sitting on the side of the road and getting pelted by debris and stuff like I was in the hurricane, and I'm off the road, but I want to keep it in drive and keep my foot on the brake, I can actually push the button and shut the brake lights off for a second, so that I'm not blinding people with my brake lights that are coming down the road, especially at night with all the rain. So I put that in all my cars. So I shut my brake lights off so they couldn't see I still had my foot on the brake. And 4 guys came out of the car, and I shit you not, all 4 of them came walking up to my car, and they weren't. It was just a black car. It didn't say storm chaser on it. It said nothing on it. It was obviously, it did not look important at all. So it's not like they were coming up just to say hi or something. Something was really, really wrong. So I pulled something out of the center console and I put it in drive and I started going out of there. And I'm not kidding you, they all ran back into their car and they peeled out of the gas station and they kept following me. So at this point, I'm like, well, I'm screwed, I'm gonna die. So I call 911 and the call taker, she needed to get fired. She's like, well, sir, they're probably just traveling to the same destination as you. And I'm like, no, ma'am, they're not. Like, I've gone in a circle, I've pulled into a gas station, they've come up to my car, they peeled out of there, they're following me. I'm like, this is ridiculous. So she told me that because I couldn't give them a description of the car other than a small red car, she's like, well, sir, we can't really assist you without a license plate or anything. So I'm not even kidding you, I hung up on the 911 lady. I just hung up on her. I'm like, screw you, I hung up on her. I'm like, I'm done, I'm not doing it. So I Googled New Mexico, like the state cops. So I called like the 800 number and I told them what was going on. And they're like, well, did you call 911? And I'm like, yeah, and 911 didn't give two craps. And they're like, okay, well, we're gonna find somebody. So there was a cop sitting in the median a couple of miles up the road, and she asked me for it, and I told her, I'm like, it's a small red car, whatever. There was 3 or 4 guys, you know, and I gave her a description of the people the best I could, and she put me on hold for a second, and she came back on the phone, and she's like, well, there's a state officer like 4 miles ahead of you. She's like, can you get to him as quick as you can? And I'm like, believe me, lady, I'm getting there as quick as I can. You don't gotta tell me twice. So I literally just put my foot to the floor. I was doing over 100 miles an hour in the left lane on that road, and I was just praying to God that a deer was not going to run in front of me. And you could tell something was bad wrong because these people were keeping up with me in this crappy little like Pontiac, and I had literally had my foot to the floor, and this thing was literally going as fast as I could possibly go, and I thought I was going to lose it in the ditch, and they were still on my bumper. And I passed this cop, and he whipped out, and he damn near hit him. Like, intentionally damn near hit these guys when he pulled out of the median, because I don't think they saw him, because I could barely see him, he had his lights off. And he got right on their back bumper, and he pulled their asses over, and I slowed down, and about 3 seconds later, I'm not kidding, there had to be at least 8 cop cars come flying off the county road in the other direction, hauling ass down there to get back behind that guy. And I asked her, I'm like, do you need me to sign a complaint or anything? And she's like, no, we're familiar with the situation. It's going to be handled. I'm like, oh, really? So I went and looked up I started Googling some stuff, and I went and I found something in the newspaper, and they actually arrested the driver and the passengers. Apparently, it was a stolen car, and they had stolen several cars, and they were actually from California, and this vehicle had come from California, whatever. One of them was not a United States citizen, so I'm assuming they probably sent that one back. But the other 2 or 3 or whatever, they got actually convicted. They are locked up, and it was a stolen car. Like, I am convinced that they were going to either shoot me or try to take my car. So that's why I do a lot of weird things. Like, you'll see me. So I don't know if this happens on stream, but one of the things that I got told when I first started on an ambulance company was, especially if you have a vehicle that you can't lock, like an ambulance, a lot of those you cannot lock them properly. When you're filling with gas in a bad area, so like you typically go stand at the front driver corner of the vehicle so that you can see everything going on around you. So like that's why typically when like you might notice, like when I pump gas, I don't stand by the hose. I won't stand there. If I'm not squeegeeing the windshield, I'll always come and stand by the driver's side door. And I always lock the car. I always lock the key in the car. I have a key in my pocket to unlock it, but even if I'm just getting gas, I always lock the car. Because if some asshole comes up and tries to steal my car, I don't care if he's got a gun or not, 90% chance they're probably not going to shoot you, because if it's a simple car theft, they really don't want to get charged with murder. So they most likely won't shoot you, even if you give them a confrontation. So I have the key, and if somebody tries to get crappy, I will literally take the key out of my pocket and throw it and kick them in the nuts and run away. I will not give somebody my car. I am not doing it. I'm not one of the... It's not a fight or flight. It is I work for my stuff. I am not giving criminals my stuff for free. So that's the story of when I was probably either going to get shot or have my car stolen. So That was northeast New Mexico, and I'm serious. I was so damn nervous. I had like nothing for phone service, and I was literally running out of gas. Like that's what was really making me concerned. Is I'm like, if I run out of gas, I am screwed. And I was so mad at that 911 call taker, and I wish she would have got fired because she's like, well, we can't respond or give you any assistance if we don't have better plate. And it's like, lady, and I told her, I'm like, ma'am, I think I'm going to get shot or hurt. And she's just like, well, we can't do anything without this information. And I'm like, well, the hell you can't. You pull people over all the time. But the state police or state patrol or whatever in New Mexico was extremely helpful. Like I said, I told her what was going on, and I was pretty annoyed. Okay, it's starting to come out of the bad service area here. But no, I told the lady with the state police, when I started off the phone call, I said, you better do something. I said, because I'm running out of gas and I'll run these people over. And I told her where I was, and I said, the sheriff's department ain't doing anything. And the first thing she said back to me was, well, don't worry, we will. And I'm like, well, thank you, at least somebody will. I was so upset at that, and I should have filed a complaint on that lady. Like, I had it. But no, they dealt with it, that's for sure. But I am definitely convinced that they were definitely going to try to steal my car. They wouldn't have gotten very far because it was definitely almost out of gas. But apparently, they never, when they stole these vehicles, they were all like stolen without people in them. And I looked at the news article and stuff, and they had no history of violence. So I don't know if they would have. They probably would have waited for me to go inside or something, or walk away from the vehicle. I don't think they would have tried to like grab me and like force me out of the vehicle or something. But the second I would have got out of the vehicle, you know damn well somebody probably would have ran up and jumped in and got it. But when all four of them got out of the car, that was a little bit odd. That was definitely some sort of a show of force or an attempt to intimidate. And that was a very bad idea because I had equipment that was more than capable of stopping that threat, and it would not have ended very well. If I was out of gas, that would not have been a good day for them. I could not believe that. I have never been in that situation like that before. And it makes you think twice when you stop for gas out here in the middle of the night. Honestly, like I'll usually drive around the gas station and make sure like nobody's looking all suspicious or whatever. I really wish that I would have been streaming at that time because we could have live streamed it. It would have been a viral video. But I'm dead serious, guys. I literally was going like 105, 110. Like the car was like, that was as fast as the car would physically go on that highway. And somehow they were keeping up. And I'm like, yeah, that's not suspicious or anything. That was the only time I ever really had a negative or a dangerous interaction while chasing. And I guess that doesn't even count because I never did actually interact with them. I mean, who knows? Maybe they were just running up to me to get my autograph. I don't know. But you know, I didn't technically have a confrontation with them, but something was going to happen. And everybody always says, "Oh, just give them your keys. It's just property." Well, you know what? I don't have money to replace it, and without my car, I don't have a business, so it ain't that easy. I don't work hard to give thieves my stuff. And I told that lady with the state police, I thanked her before I got off the phone. She stayed on the phone the whole time, and I thanked her. I said, I appreciate you not just telling me to, you know, calm down like the sheriff's department lady did. And she goes, nope, I understand. Out here, you do what you gotta do. You gotta protect your stuff. And I'm like, well, at least somebody gets it. But I think the car told me I had like 11 miles to empty, and I coasted into a gas station. I think I coasted into that Love's, actually. And I just barely made it, and the car died. Like, I was gonna prepay for the gas because I had some extra cash in my pocket. I went into prepay and I left the car running. I came out and the car had died. It literally ran out of gas there. So it's a darn good thing that they got to me, because I was almost out of gas, and that was gonna be really bad. Oh yeah, the Storm Chase van. Yeah, when they almost that's right. The tour van. A lot of Storm Chase carry a big thing of bear spray in their center console. I may or may not be one of those people also, but I can understand why. But like I said, I've never really had big problems like that. You know, especially like in Tornado Alley, Texas Panhandle, Oklahoma, Kansas. You could be out in the middle of nowhere on the side of the road, and everybody is so, especially in the rural areas, all the farmers and all the people that live out in the country, like, they're all so nice, and honestly, they're the kind of people that if you were in trouble, they'd probably come with their shotguns and save your ass. So, but typically, like, you could be sitting on the side of the road, and you could usually trust just about anybody that comes up to you. I mean, you never should trust anybody, but you know, I'll be sitting on the side of the road with all my lights off trying to take pictures of lightning or something, and somebody rolls up to you, and I don't even think twice about talking to them. You know, especially if it's like a local license plate. I mean, because typically out here, it's not like being in the middle of Chicago. I mean, everybody's just curious. People are just curious. Nobody's got ill intent, but I tell you what, that was a crazy day. I forgot. I don't think I've ever talked about that on stream, because honestly, I kind of sort of forgot about it. Because I was just so tired that night. Like, the next day it was even a blur too. I remember I woke up the next day and I had to stop and think for a minute. I'm like, did that actually happen? Or did I dream it? And I'm like, no, it definitely happened. But yeah, usually, I mean, I've never had problems before, even in like some higher crime area, like Gary, Indiana. I've had some suspicious people around, but never been confronted or anything. No, that's why I say when you're getting gas, just I don't even want to be in the car when I get gas, because you can't see everything. I want to be standing outside the damn car where I can't see everything. A couple of places, like I said, when I was getting gas in Gary the other week, I was a little bit nervous. Some of the people were acting a little suspicious, but you can never tell with this car if they're scoping it out because they want to case it, or, you know, they want to come over and try to give you a hard time, or if they're just trying to look at it because it's got a wrap on it. You can never tell. But I've become a little bit paranoid with people after that. Honestly, ever since that incident, I've been really. Honestly, you might notice it on stream, and somebody said I was rude, and it's really not rude. You know, people will follow me, and they want to say hi, but like when they stop in the middle of the road or on the side of the road, and somebody comes walking up to me, a lot of times you notice I don't roll my window down all the way, and I'm very cautious. And a lot of times the foot's on the brake and the other foot's on the gas, and it creeps me out when I get confronted, or people I don't know come on, and it's because of that incident. Before then, it didn't bother me, but now I'm not going to be in that situation again. So yeah, well, next time that happens, hopefully I'll be live streaming, because That would have been something. You know, and I had a dash camera and it was recording, and I never thought to pull the recording off of it. I should have, and I should have like put it on YouTube, but it never crossed my mind to take the SD card out and get that off of there. Lesson learned, honestly, that if I'm ever on anything like that ever happens and I'm on an interstate or a state highway, I'm just calling state cops. I'm not dealing with it. I'm just calling state cops. Lesson learned. Yeah, I don't know. That's why I always take all the equipment out of the car too, the laptop, the camera, everything. When I get to a hotel, it takes me like 20 minutes to get all the stuff out of the car. But somebody would be really, really stupid to try to steal my car or break into my car, because there's literally a camera on the roof that records 24/7 and streams it live onto an app. And I can literally see the camera anytime I want. And there's a GPS on the car that I can literally turn on. I can look at it. So if somebody ever broke into this car or stole this car, they would be very, very stupid, because they'd be caught easily and you could track the data. Like, it would be a very stupid idea. And I think that's kind of a deterrent, because, you know, all the cameras and stuff on top of the car. I get kind of nervous in hurricanes too, because of the looters and everything. Just really got to watch your back. It's kind of the same problem that a lot of over-the-road truck drivers have too, you know, like at some of the shadier truck stops and rest stops. So if I spend any time at a rest stop or a truck stop, it's always got to be a nice one. Usually, if I just want to take like an hour nap in the car, I usually just go to a Love's, because the worst that's going to happen is somebody's going to knock on your window and ask what the hell storm is coming to town or whatever. I mean, so you're typically not going to get your car jacked in a 24-hour Love's under a street light when there's 50,000 people there. You never know. I do usually try it, like even if I'm gonna edit video in the car. So I've got little curtains that I put up over all the windows. Like if I want to sit in here and I just really want to keep to myself, and I don't want the sun in the car getting everything hot, a lot of times when I'm on the road or if it's after a chase, I'll stop at like a Love's or a rest stop, and I'll put all the curtains over the window, and I won't sleep, but I'll get in the back seat and kind of half lay down, and then I'll edit all my video on my computer that way. But I typically park back by the trucks, because chances are if somebody tries to break into your car, 9 out of 10 truck drivers will come out and beat them over the head with a baseball bat for you. And I feel like it's a little bit safer than being up in the other parking lot. Plus, you get left the hell alone. I don't mind when people come up to meet me and stuff, but sometimes I do have to have like some office hours where I can really get something done. And if you park back by the trucks, like, nobody bothers you at all. Yeah, the tire checker thing. Exactly. And we are cruising down the highway right now. I don't even know what highway it is. 41? Highway 41. 13 and a half hours to roughly my destination, which really isn't that bad. If we can get into Tennessee tonight, I'd be happy. I figure tomorrow will still partially be a travel day. Like I said, I need to run to Orlando on the way, pick something up, and then we'll head to Tampa, secure some sort of a hotel, hopefully, and then head south. If I could roll in around 4 p.m., I would be more than happy. 4 p.m. Eastern, that is. 5 p.m. Central, or 3 p.m. Central. Anyway, we'll be live, I think, until we get through Indiana. Maybe not that long. Maybe we really have that long. God, this state takes forever to drive through, it seems like. Kind of hard on these state roads when the speed limit's 60. Once you get onto the interstate, you can really start making up some time. It's kind of a weird route to get down there for me because the fastest is to go through Chicago and then down through Indiana. You got to take some state highways, whatever. Once you get to Nashville, it starts making sense, but the time flies once you get to Atlanta because going down 75 through Georgia is like nothing. How much is gas here? Well, Indiana and Illinois are really expensive, so I think I was seeing like $4.19 a gallon here. I was getting gas for $2.89 in Kentucky the other day, so Indiana is expensive just like Illinois. This Great Lakes area is pretty high on gas right now. 8 o'clock's only 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern. Of course, we're in Eastern Time right now. But I got kind of a late start today. That's all right. I don't even remember the last time I came down this state highway. I don't know if I've actually ever been down this state highway. I was not stopping for that light. We would have went through the windshield. Yeah, so 1 week ago, we were going through Florida. We were getting into Tampa about 1 week ago in preparation for Ian, right about this time. Yeah, Mary, we could see some more hurricanes this season, but it's hard to tell. I mean, we've got about another month and a half, really, of hurricane season. Month and a half. Thanks, Kay, for the super chat. Thanks for all your help over the past few days as well. I know it's been busy for a lot of the moderators with the hurricane. We've had abnormally high views during the hurricane. Obviously, it's a high impact event. I'm going to have to determine if I want to go to bed late and wake up a little bit later, or if I want to call it a night early and then just get up super early to drive. I don't know. We'll figure it out here soon. That'll basically determine if I want to get into Tennessee or if I want to continue and continue and try to see if we can get down to like Chattanooga or just inside of Georgia tonight. So I think from here to it shouldn't be that far from here to Atlanta. Well, not to Atlanta, but to Georgia. But get through Kentucky. But if we'll see how long I hold out here. We may call it a night early somewhere near like Hopkinsville or Clarkville. Like the Kentucky-Tennessee border, and then get up earlier tomorrow and start driving, or might try to go the extra tonight and get down near like Chattanooga, right on the Georgia-Tennessee border, and then have the privilege of waking up a little bit later. So I don't know, figure it out. It's the same amount of sleep, same amount of driving either way. It's just a preference thing, I guess. I usually don't like to drive any more than 10 hours in a day. I often do though. I mean, 10 hours is kind of what's comfortable. What feels normal. Anything over 10 hours kind of sucks. I did make the drive from Wichita Falls, Texas, home one day, which was 17 hours, and I think I started driving at like 6 a.m. I got home around 1 or 2 a.m., and that was an awful drive. After about 13 hours, it really, really sucks. People just going down the shoulder, okay.
Head south on US Highway 41 south toward Indiana 57 north.
Yeah, we're gonna have to make it to Clarksville at least.
Continue on US Highway 41 south for 3 miles.
There's just nothing between here and there. Like, at all. Yeah, there is a Love's in Madison.
Continue on US Highway 41 south for 2 miles.
I don't know. I'm not worried about it. Alright everybody, I'm going to stay live here and for another like 10 minutes. So remember, right, this is a really rough area for service. A little ways past here if I remember. I had problems uploading the members-only updates the past 2 days. YouTube was having problems, so everything I uploaded was getting stuck processing. That should be solved. So when I stop for the night, I'll upload the YouTube member update video. So it's going to be a little bit late tonight, but I'll get it out. It's put together, I just need to upload it. So for some of you folks, you might be seeing it in the morning instead. It's probably going to be about an hour and a half, 2 hours. Okay, we gotta turn left now, I guess. Okay.
Turn left onto Lynch Road. Continue on Lynch Road for 1.5 miles.
I think this is Evansville. Thank you for the super chat, Dana. It's greatly appreciated and will be put to good use. Of course, thank you for watching as well. that coon over there.
In a quarter mile, turn right onto Oak Hill Road. Turn right onto Oak Hill Road. Continue on Oak Hill Road for 1.5 miles.
Look at this, is taking us the most roundabout way possible.
In a quarter mile, turn right onto East Morgan Avenue. Turn right onto East Morgan Avenue.
Is this thing trying to take me through town? I feel like we could have went around town
Continue on
somehow.
East Morgan Avenue for 1/2 mile.
It's like it just took me right through town for some reason. Sometimes I wonder why this does what it does.
onto US Highway 41 South.
That's dumb.
Continue on US Highway 41 South for 10 miles.
That Subway has a drive-through. I've never seen that before. Sit at this red light for another year. Yeah, it's putting gas in the van. Alright, so we'll stream for just a little bit yet. And then I'm going to start looking for a place to stay, I think. I'd rather get up early. I seem to do better getting up at like 3 a.m. and starting to drive versus you know, driving until 1 or 2 in the morning and then getting up a little bit later. God, it's taking forever to go through here. Crazy Bob's Cajun Chicken. That sounds terrible. Yeah, this guy had us take 41 all the way down. Yeah, Love's in a half an hour, so that's probably where we'll stop and get gas. But I appreciate everybody for the super chats, the channel memberships, the likes, the shares, the comments, and everything. You guys all keep the chat alive and keep the YouTube videos at least profitable enough to keep putting gas in the tank. So thank you, everybody. Can't be out here doing any of this without you. I'm going to wrap it up for tonight, but I am going to be live tomorrow for part of the drive down. I don't know when I'm going to go live.
To Kentucky.
Alright, we're in Kentucky now. Yay. How exciting. But I think what I'm going to do is try to stream a little bit earlier in the day, because a lot of times, typically when we stream, it's usually after like 3 p.m. And I'd kind of like to give the audience that prefers to watch in the morning a chance as well. So I'm probably going to start streaming maybe around 9 or 10 a.m. Central Time, and stream for a while, and probably stream the drive from, well, it'll be most all the way from Georgia to Florida probably. Tomorrow's Tuesday, so Wednesday will be a full day of assessing everything down there. Thursday, Friday, same deal. Tomorrow is looking more like it's going to be the back half of the travel. It'll be a way to get some travel time in. We'll be in the affected area though tomorrow afternoon. Hopefully, knock on wood. Thanks again, everybody. I hope you all have a great night. And if you're new, you are welcome to visit the Discord server. It's basically a big chat room, just like the YouTube chat. If you go to my website, seethestorm.com, you can click on the button that says Discord. And that will take you, well, at least it should, take you right to where you can download Discord or sign up and join. It's free, it doesn't cost anything. But if you are a channel member, make sure you have your YouTube channel linked to your Discord's account, so you can get the member benefits in there as well. I'll get the members only update out probably in about 45 minutes here when I stop. I'll get that uploaded. I did a test one earlier today, and it is working now. So, and again, we are in Kentucky now. Yay. So thank you, everybody. I hope you all have a great night. I'll probably wake up about 3 a.m. and start driving. In general, I do prefer to go to sleep earlier than later. So. All right, that's it. Have a good night, everyone, and thanks again for supporting the channel.